Oh, yeah!
Match begins with Jay and Butch. Brutes start with the War Games advantage. At the beginning, they had a back and forth. Butch and Jay, Butch targets Jay's fingers, and Jay targets one of Butch's arms. Ridge Holland would be the second for his team to join in, and he comes in, turning the odds in their favor. Ridge and Butch would trade offensive moves and use double team maneuvers, still targeting Jay's fingers throughout. The clock ticked down for the next person to join the match, and Jimmy tried to go out to help his brother, but Roman stops him and told Sammy to go instead. By the time Sammy reaches the ring, Jay gets up and they pick up some steam. Sammy and Jay get to work taking out the Brawling Brutes. They argued for a second and it looked like it was going to cost them, but Sammy pulled Jay out of the way from a big hit coming from Holland. Drew McIntyre was the next to join the war. Drew comes down and cleans house. Sammy saved Jay again, but it doesn't matter because Drew ends up hitting a big suplex and then the Future Shock DDT on Sami Zayn. Then it was time for the third member of the Bloodline to join the war, and it was Jimmy Uso who would come down, and on his way to the ring he stops and he pulls out 3 tables and slides them in. Sammy was trying to help set up the tables, and Jay starts arguing with him again. And Jay shoves Sammy, and Sammy shoves him back. The camera showed Roman just kind of shaking his head in the shark cage. They take out the Brutes, and then they try to take out Drew, but Jimmy got a big headbutt, Jimmy got a big head and ends up getting knocked out by a headbutt from Drew McIntyre. And that's when Kevin Owens would be the 4th member to join the war. And he comes down and he grabs some steel chairs and he hits both Usos, and him and Sammy would have a good stare down, and then the Brutes would take advantage. Drew takes out Sammy and the chaos ensues with suplexes. The Brutes would take advantage. Drew takes out Sammy and then he takes out Jimmy with a suplex through a table. And then it was time for Solo Sikoa to join the war. Solo came down and enforced destruction, taking out the Brutes and matching up against KO. Solo and McIntyre go at it, with Drew hitting a flying headbutt. And then it was time for the last member to join the war. And it was Sheamus who comes down. And Sammy tried to stop him from getting into the cage by holding the door. Sheamus slams the door into Sammy and he gets in. Sheamus would get into the match and he would just start destroying everyone and rallying his Brutes. Sheamus hit the white noise from the middle rope on Solo Sikoa, and it was finally time for the War Games match to officially begin with Roman Reigns entering the cage. We got a good stare down between the 10 men, and then Roman started taking out everybody with uppercuts and Superman punches. The Brutes team would rally, and we see a spot with all 5 of them hitting the beats of the batarang on each of the opponents at the same time. And then we'd see a good matchup between Roman and Sheamus. Sheamus almost got him with the bro kick, but Solo saved the Tribal Chief. At one point, Jay tried to super kick Butch, but Butch moved out of the way and Jay accidentally super kicks Sami Zayn. This is it. It's all been leading up. Jay has kept his hands off Sammy, has refused from hitting Sammy, and he finally hits him, but by accident. Definitely by accident. But he doesn't seem to care because the match moves forward. The Usos hit a big 1D, and it would come down to a face-off between Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns. Owens hitting the pop-up powerbomb and a stunner, but then Sammy stops the referee from counting to 3, and Sammy and Kevin have a stare down, and then Jimmy tries to super kick Kevin, but KO catches his foot, and that's when Sami Zayn hits a low blow on his former best friend. Sammy seemed unsure about his decision at first, and he looked to his Tribal Chief for approval, and then he hit a haluva kick on Kevin Owens. Then Jey Uso hits the Uso splash, and then he pins KO for the win. Rob, what do you think about this match?
Let's just talk about some of the spots first, and then we'll get to the heavy stuff here. So I love the beginning part. Butch really working over the fingers and the quote-unquote joint manipulation that they always like to say on Jey early on. Ridge comes in. Just Ridge is going to be just kind of a Mack truck in there, just running people over, which is fun. And then Sammy comes in next, even though Jimmy wanted to come in. So Roman's just trying to get them in the ring together, trying to get them to work out their problems. Love the spot where Ridge is about to crush Jey into the steel cage. And then Sammy pulls Jey out of the way and he tells him, I got you. I got you. So that's the first sign right there that Sammy is all in on the bloodline. So I like that spot a lot. Then as we kind of move forward, Drew comes in and Drew is not scared at all, but, Sammy and Jey kind of takes them out pretty easy. And then as we go forward, you got the other gentlemen are coming in. Nothing big happens. Now, I did love the spot there between Kevin Owens and Solo Sikoa. It was in between the rings, and Sikoa no-sold getting hit into the cage, but then all of a sudden takes 2 super kicks to stomp to the feet, and then KO's about to hit a power bomb on Solo, and Solo just flipped him over right on the grates. So that was a nice, fun spot. Also, did not care for Kevin in pants. I like Kevin in shorts a little bit more. So, but let's get to the main part. Roman comes down. Roman is throwing uppercuts everywhere. His uppercuts are great. The beats of the batter spot on all 5 guys. At first, anytime I see a spot like that, I kind of groan. But then halfway through it, I was like, this is fun. I liked it. I'm just being a curmudgeon when it starts. That's my fault. So that was a good spot. I enjoyed that a lot. But let's get to the ending here. So Kevin and Roman are having a standoff. Roman gets hit with a power bomb off Kevin, and then all of a sudden gets hit with a stunner from Kevin, and the ref has 1. He has 2, and he's about to come down for 3, and Sami Zayn grabs the ref arm and just saves the bloodline there. And they hold that spot for so long too, and Kevin is just looking at him like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? Then Jimmy, I think, is the one that holds Kevin. And then all of a sudden, Sammy just goes for the low blow, gets that approving look that you talked about, and then hits him with that haluva kick. And then my favorite part of it all is first of all, Kevin is like laying there motionless in Sammy's arms, a la Battleground 2017, maybe 2016, 2017. I think they had a great match there. And Sammy just drops him to the ground. He looks at Jey, that's who the big feud is between those two going on, and just lays him down for Jey to hit the splash and get the 1, 2, 3. And then after the match is over, Sammy, almost in tears, all of a sudden gets like a huge hug from Jey. Like Jey just says, you know what, dude? You are it. You are an Uso. You are a fellow Uso. No more honorary, nothing. Like, just said that, and like the emotion on Sammy's face was awesome. It was great. And Roman just had that like approving, like, proud dad moment look on him too. So War Games match, when it comes to like just wrestling in general, not the greatest ever. It was fun, it's entertaining, but storyline wise, oh my gosh, man, like you got done and your heartstrings, man, just hugging because you just seen Sammy just, in all reality, let's go full circle here. I mean, Kevin turned on Sammy at NXT back in 2015. And this was Sammy almost getting that revenge like 7 years later on that kind of front, on his turning on him. And so it was so much emotion going there. We're still just seeing the beginning of this whole thing. Like there's still so much more to go. So it was overall, that match, pretty much met my expectations of what I thought going into it, because I didn't think it was going to be wrestling wise like the greatest thing I've ever seen, but I thought storyline it was going to move me, and boy, it really moved me. It was great.
Yeah, we had a lot of storylines intertwined here. We saw Drew and Solo mix it up for the first time since Clash at the Castle. This was the first time Drew got to get in the ring with Solo. We got a Sheamus and Roman matchup, which is great because Sheamus dominated during this match. Surprisingly, they kind of kept McIntyre away from Roman. Drew tries to go after Roman, and then Solo stops him. So that was interesting. And then the whole point of this came down to Sami and Kevin Owens. And Kevin just joined the storyline, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, but Kevin he just came back, 2 weeks ago, but the seeds have been planted between Kevin and Sami
that's what I'm saying.
all this for a while.
He's had very little to put into this, so that's definitely, we're far from KO being done with the bloodline, I think. This match was a great War Games match.
Thank you for listening to Cream of the Crop Wrestling. You can embrace the madness by finding us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cream of the Crop Wrestling. Follow us on Twitter at Cream of the Crop W. Subscribe to our YouTube channel by typing Cream of the Crop Wrestling in the search bar. Have fun with us on TikTok at Cream of the Crop Wrestling. And you can always find full episodes of the podcast wherever podcasts are found.
Nothing means nothing.
Nothing means nothing. What do you mean by that?
More, I'm talking about all the way to the top, yeah. Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in. But the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah. You know that I'm the cream of the crop. The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better. Oh yeah.